A plane ran out of fuel at 41,000 feet, so pilots did this. Air Canada Flight 143 was going from Montreal to Edmonton, but halfway into the flight, the pilot realized the fuel tank was half empty. The refueling team were told to put 22,300 kilograms of fuel into the plane, but instead they put 22,300 pounds. Both of the plane engines stopped working. But that was when the pilot, Robert Pearson, had a great idea. He decided to glide land on a car racetrack. But what he didn't know was there was a race going on at that very moment. He glided the Boeing 767 down to the ground, and then used cars that were on the racetrack to slow the plane down. In the end, everyone survived and there were no serious injuries. The pilot, Robert Pearson, was actually demoted, but he later appealed and instead was given an award. Unexplained things seen in the sky. In 2018, a gigantic halo of light was seen over Jerusalem. Some thought this was a miracle of some kind. It apparently glowed a rainbow color in real life, but in the video we have, it seems to be gold and white. In Brazil, a massive red cloud was seen in the middle of the day. No one is exactly sure what this cloud is. Some believe it could have been from a nearby forest fire. Airplanes often drop a red chemical onto forest fires to stop them. In 2011, a gigantic light ring was seen over Russia. People thought that it may be UFO related, but eventually the truth was revealed. It was an ICBM missile. In 2009, a spiral was seen in the night sky in Norway. People thought this could have been a UFO creating a spiral, but it turned out it was yet another missile test that went wrong. A part of the missile broke off and spun around in a spiral shape. If you see one of these clouds in your city, then get out fast. If you look up at the sky and see a cloud shaped like a skull, then this is a bad sign. This happened in Italy in 2018. Mount Vesuvius had a gigantic skull cloud form above it. Mount Vesuvius is the volcano that wiped out the city of Pompeii. It looked very similar to Voldemort's cloud in Harry Potter. People immediately began fleeing the city, expecting the volcano to erupt. Another scary thing to watch out for in the sky is ball lightning. This is a very rare kind of lightning that happens all over the world. Ball lightning is much more dangerous than normal lightning. These can sometimes explode, sending lightning bolts everywhere. They can be as small as a soccer ball or as large as a house. The biggest planes in the world. The Stratolaunch is a twin fuselage plane. The wingspan is bigger than a football field. It's used to carry space rockets, for example the Falcon 9 rocket by SpaceX, and its wingspan is 117 meters. The Super Guppy is a plane made by NASA. It carries NASA rockets as well as stages for the rockets. The Antonov AN-225 is the heaviest aircraft in the world. It's designed to carry things like jets and also tanks, and it spans nearly 100 meters. Genius houses you won't believe actually exist. One day, 14-year-old Andre Canto had an argument with his parents. Instead of running away, he decided to build his own house. He used a pickaxe and carved out an underground home. He eventually used a pulley system to remove the rocks. After 1 year, the house was built and had many rooms, Wi-Fi, and a music system too. In 2018, many Florida houses were destroyed by Hurricane Michael. That was except for one house. The Hurricane House was designed to withstand any hurricane. Despite the hurricane's 255-mile-per-hour winds, it stayed standing. Many neighbors made fun of the guys who built this house. But when their houses were destroyed and the Hurricane House stayed standing, they weren't laughing anymore. At the age of 65, Teranobu Fujimori decided to build his dream treehouse. The tiny house is built on top of 2 trees. People called this homeowner crazy, but he had the last laugh. In 2016, Brazoria, Texas had lots of floods. Everyone had to evacuate except one man named Randy Wagner. He bought a gigantic rubber tube named an aquadam. He unraveled this around his house and filled it up. All of his neighbors laughed at him and said, "That will never work and your house will flood." But Randy ignored his neighbors. Days later, the entire town flooded and everyone had to evacuate except Randy. Randy's house was like a tiny island seen from above. Randy's house was totally fine, but all of his neighbors who laughed at him had to pay millions of dollars in repairs.